Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Asheville Vedic Astrology YouTube channel, youtube.com/Ryan's Vedic Astrology. I'm very happy to be able to present to you today videos related to the most important planetary combinations that you need to know, astrologically speaking. These videos were created by an Asheville Vedic Astrology apprenticeship student, one of her final projects. And what Anna has done is she's taken the Lajatati Avashtas and she has explained each combination of each Avashta for each planet. So they might not all be posted already, but please check the playlists tab for all of the videos for each of the planets so that you can learn these planetary combinations. The Lajatati Avashtas are an excellent way to understand how the chart is going to give its fruits. It's also an excellent way to understand how planets are being helped or hurt. Because sometimes you can have a difficult planet which is actually being helped by its friends, and so it's still able to produce that which it's meant to produce within the chart. In the same way that many people are confused when they have an exalted planet or a planet in a trine and good dignity, and it doesn't give the results that they expect that it would. Usually it's because of the combination of the Lajatati Avashtas, and maybe there are enemies of the planet hurting the planet, or the planet is in a difficult state. So this is a wonderful series of videos, and please take your time to study it. And for supplementary information on these videos, you can see the chapters in the book, The Art and Science of Vedic Astrology, Volume 2. There you'll find written descriptions of these planets, and it can also give you more understanding about how to apply and see how the planets are functioning within your chart. So once again, I'm very happy to present this work of Anna, one of our really skilled astrological apprenticeship students. She's been at this for at least 4 years now, and this is one of her final projects. So thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy this series of videos.
Hello, my name is Hannah, and I'm in the 4th year of the Asheville Vedic Astrology apprenticeship with Ryan Kursak. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the Lajatati Avashtas. I've called this video a crash course on the Lajatati Avashtas because I'm going to be talking about what they are, how they are formed, and then I'm going to be going into every single specific combination that there is. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into the Lajatati Avashtas. Now, what are the Lajatati Avashtas? Well, Avashta means stage or condition in Sanskrit, and all Avashtas take the name of the first Avashta in its category. There are different types of Avashtas, such as the Jagradati Avashtas, Diptati Avashtas, Baladi Avashtas, and they all take the name from the first Avashta. For example, the Jagradati Avashtas take their names from the Jagrat Avashta, the Diptati Avashtas from the Dipta Avashta, and the Baladi Avashtas from the Bala Avashta. Now, the Lajatati Avashtas take their name from the Lajita Avashta, which is the first one in its category. Okay, so we can look at the 6 Lajatati Avashtas. There are Lajita being the first one. It's the shamed Avashta. Then we've got Garvita Avashta or proud Avashta, Shudita or starved Avashta, Trishita or thirsty Avashta, Mudita or delighted Avashta, and the 6th one is Kshobhita or agitated Avashta. Again, I'm sorry about my pronunciation. Okay, so what are they for? What do we use the Lajatati Avashtas for? They allow us to assess the ability that planets have to produce what they represent in the chart. And this ability is based on the influence that planets have on one another. So it's based on aspects, on conjunction, And they allow us to see the strength of planets in comparison to its enemies or friends. They are very good for finding out finer details of a person's life, especially of psychological nature. They're very good for finding out how a person might act, or different personality traits about a person as well. There are some important things we need to know. The first thing is that we use planetary or graha aspects, which are degree-based. We do not use Rashi or Tajika aspects for the Lajitari Avashta, so we only use graha aspects. And they can also be used in Vargas for subtle information about how a person functions in regards to that Varga. So remember that we only use planetary aspects. And I have put up the table of planetary friendships here, of natural permanent planetary friendships, because they're very important for the Lajitari Avashtas as well as for dignity. So we should know this table really well, because the Lajitari Avashtas are based on whether a planet is a friend or an enemy to the planet that it's getting an aspect from or that it's with. Then another thing that we need to know really, really well is the indications of planets, so the carcass or indications of planets. For example, what does the sun represent? It represents father, authority figures, our body, our kingdom, inspiration, the government, status, power. The moon is our sense of individuality, can be music, blood, contentment, mother, popularity, dreams, how our bodies grow. It can be our past as well, our past memories. Mars is our character, our siblings, logic, the nervous system, weapons, the results of our enemies' actions, the action that we take. Mercury represents communication, the skin, our ability to cognize, travel, discernment, games, commerce, learning, ability for research as well. Jupiter is our wealth, children, husband, happiness, ability to see the bigger picture, the brain, our gurus, banks, teachers, scriptures, education, charity, ability to be happy, to have wisdom. Venus is our ability to recuperate our DNA, the muscles, genetics, luxuries, romance, entertainment, ability to make good decisions that lead to higher fulfillment. Women, wife, diplomacy, love. And these are just some of the indicators for the planets. Saturn can represent longevity, hard work, delays, loss, illness, duty, weaknesses, perseverance, endurance, elder siblings, pets, servants, the immune system, connective tissue. That would be for medical astrology. And we've got the nodes here, Rahu and Ketu. So Rahu represents drugs, poison, confusion, foreign places, deception, technology, fame. And Ketu represents liberation of consciousness, mathematics, focusing on minute details, what we bring from past lives, bacteria, plagues, letting go. Okay, so that's the indications of the planets, which we need to know really well. Remember also that we're only going to use the 7 planets. We're going to use Sun, Moon, Mars, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, and Saturn. We're not going to use the nodes because they're just astrological points. They're not actual planets. Okay, so let's look at how the Lagitari Avashtas are formed. Okay, and the first one is Lagita or ashamed Avashta. How is it formed? Okay, so we need a planet in the 5th house and conjunct the Sun, Saturn, or Mars, or a planet with Rahu or Ketu and conjunct either Sun, Saturn, or Mars. And this can occur in any house. That's how it's formed. Okay, so a planet in the 5th house and conjunct the Sun, Saturn, or Mars, which is one of the 3. Or a planet with Rahu or Ketu and conjunct Sun, Saturn, or Mars. So it could be, for example, Mercury with Ketu and Sun, and it could be in the 7th house. Then we've got Garvita or proud Avashta, and that is when a planet is in its exaltation sign or Mula Trikona sign. So exaltation or Mula Trikona. Then we've got Shudita or starved Avashta. Okay, we've got a few options for this. So a planet in an enemy sign, a planet conjunct an enemy, a planet aspected by an enemy, or a planet conjunct by Saturn. So any planet that is next to Saturn will be starved. Then we've got Trishita or thirsty Avashta. And that is when a planet is aspected by an enemy and not influenced by an auspicious planet. And this happens in a water sign. So it could be in Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. And Trishita is similar to starvation, but not as strong. So it's a planet aspected by an enemy and in a water sign. Yeah, it can only happen in a water sign. Then we've got Mudita or delighted Avashta. And this happens when a planet is in a friend sign or when a planet is conjunct a friend, excluding Saturn, okay, because Saturn is always going to cause starvation. A planet aspected by a natural friend, or a planet joined with Jupiter. So a planet with Jupiter will always give delight. Okay, so a planet in a friend sign, conjunct a friend, excluding Saturn, aspected by a friend, or joined with Jupiter. Okay, conjunct Jupiter. And then we've got Shobita or agitated Avashta. That's when a planet is joined by the sun. So whenever we've got a planet with the sun, that's agitation. Or an enemy planet that is also cruel. So it could be either Mars, Saturn, Sun, or the waning moon, aspecting the planet in question. And now we're going to get into the sun's Lagitari Avashtas. Okay, so let's get into the shame Avashta. So what happens when Mars is shaming the sun? Now the sun is our intelligence, it's our kingdom. It's how we manage the affairs of our own life, of our own kingdom. And Mars is our sense of right or wrong, how we take action. And when does this shame happen? It happens when the sun is in the 5th with Mars, or when Sun is with Mars plus Rahu or Ketu, and this can happen in any house. Now, this Lajitari Avashta will make the person feel like they make choices based on what they should do and not based on reality. They will have very strong rules or belief systems thrust upon the person, and it's difficult to live the way they've been told to live. So they will find a lot of shame around the way other people tell them to live. And let's remember that Mars is a natural friend to the Sun, so it can still help it succeed, but the person will feel shame around having to make choices based on what they should do and not based on what they really want to do. So people will tell them what to do, and it will be difficult for them to live up to that. Okay, so that's Mars shaming the Sun. Now, what happens when Saturn is shaming the Sun? So the Sun is our sense of self and our self-esteem. And the Sun this happens when the Sun is in the 5th with Saturn, or when the Sun is with Saturn plus Rahu or Ketu in any house. Okay, so this will bring about low self-esteem that prevents us from achieving what we want in life. So Saturn will be very critical of the Sun, so that will prevent us from doing what we want to do in life. An authority figure usually shames or disrespects what we do to get what we want. And the person will feel like a failure around what they do, and they will even fear doing well. They will be quite ashamed of their success, as if they don't deserve it. They have lack of a healthy pride, so their self-esteem will be very low. Now, the Sun shamed in the 5th house. Okay, and let's remember the Sun shamed in the 5th house will be the Sun with a cruel planet, right? Okay, so the 5th house is our mind, optimism, ability to improve our life. So when the Sun is shamed in the 5th house, the person will expect situations to work out better than they do. They will be a little bit too optimistic, and the final result is usually lower than their expectations. So they will end up feeling a sense of shame and failure, like they couldn't do whatever they wanted to do. Now, what happens when Rahu or Ketu are involved in the Sun's shame? Again, this could happen in any house. It doesn't have to be the 5th house. Rahu and Ketu will create this expectation that things will be easier than they are. And there will be a sense of being let down. Rahu makes the situation seem more promising than it is. Rahu usually brings about a lot of confusion, a lot of deceit as well. So the person will be confused about what the situation is like. And Ketu makes the situation seem easier than what it really is. Okay. Now, Garvita or proud Sun. That happens when the Sun is in its Mula Trikona. So it's going to be in the sign of Leo, 1 to 10 degrees, or when it's exalted, and that happens in Aries. Okay, the sun's exalted in the sign of Aries. Okay, the sun represents where we shine above others, and this is quite important for the Garvita Avashta, because the sun will be proud about how it manages the affairs of life. It will be proud about its commitment, even when in difficulty. It will still carry on out of inspiration. It will manage things intelligently. It will have proper initiative and good leadership skills without bringing others down. Somebody with a proud sun will know what they want and will get to their goals without hurting others. So they will be very healthy in the way they take initiative and in the way they manage things in order to get to their goals. Yeah, the sun acts out of inspiration. So that person will be inspired to act a certain way in order to reach their goals. Now, let's talk about the starvation of the sun. And that happens when the sun is conjunct Saturn or Venus, okay, which are its enemies. When the sun is in Saturn signs in Capricorn or Aquarius, or Venus signs in Taurus or Libra, or when the sun is aspected by Venus. Okay, when it's aspected by Saturn, it's going to be agitation because Saturn is a malefic and an enemy as well. Okay, so what will happen when the sun is starved? It won't be able to manage its affairs properly. It will not take initiative at the right time, and it will not be consistent or committed. Okay, so let's go into the starvation of the sun specifically for Saturn and Venus. So when Saturn is starving the sun, okay, that's when the sun is with Saturn or the sun is in Capricorn or Aquarius. Again, as we said, if the sun is aspected by Saturn, it's going to be agitation. Okay, so the sun is going to be very low. It's going to have very low self-esteem when it's starved by Saturn. Saturn will tend to destroy a person's confidence, and that person will not be able to take proper initiative or manage things intelligently. They will not be able to lead others, and they will just follow the lead of others. And what could also happen could be that the person might overcompensate. So they might take initiative or take lead at the wrong time, and they could actually hurt others and not even realize it because they're being a little bit too pushy and they're not sure when to take initiative, and they might actually mislead others. Okay, then Venus starving the sun. That happens when the sun is in Libra or Taurus, okay, the signs of Venus, when the sun is conjunct Venus, or when the sun is aspected by Venus. So what's going to happen with this starvation? One will pay too much attention to one's advisors, and one will stop, and this will stop the person from leading through inspiration. Okay, so Venus represents our advisors, and the person will pay too much attention to those advisors. That could be friends or people we have around. So listening to other people's opinions will actually confuse the native, as they will try to please others a bit too much. Now, Trishita or thirsty sun. It happens when the sun is aspected by Venus or Saturn, and this happens in a water sign. So it's going to happen in Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. Okay, and this is going to be a bit like starvation, but not as strong. So the sun will tend to do the right thing, but it will not feel satisfied. Yes, the thirsty Avashta is always very similar to starvation, but not as strong. It's not as strong. Now, Mars delighting the sun. That happens when the sun is in the sign of Mars, in Aries or Scorpio, when the sun is aspected by Mars, or when the sun is conjunct Mars, except for in the 5th house, as this would be an ashamed Avashta. Again, what happens when Mars is delighting the sun? Well, Mars is the planet of logic, it's the planet of taking right action, of taking proper action that's right, and that's very logical as well. So Mars is going to help the sun achieve its goals through proper action. It's going to give it courage, willpower, and proper initiative. And it's going to help the sun understand what is right or wrong in a very healthy and logical way, so the sun is going to make very good choices and very logical choices, and it's going to take proper action at the right time. Now, Jupiter delighting the sun. It happens when the sun is in Sagittarius or Pisces, Jupiter signs, when the sun is with Jupiter, or when the sun is aspected by Jupiter. So the sun represents our intelligence and Jupiter represents our wisdom. So we're going to have both combined. Jupiter helps the sun take proper action wisely so goals can be achieved. And it gives the sun creativity, growth, since Jupiter makes everything that it touches bigger. And it's going to give it joy in its activities. So the person will have a healthy self-esteem and they will feel content about what they do. Now, the moon delighting the sun. That happens when the sun is in Cancer, when the sun is aspected by the moon, or when the sun is conjunct the moon. So the moon is going to give the sun adaptability and receptivity. It's going to make it open to its feminine side. And remember, the moon is our individual consciousness. And the sun is going to be more open to other possibilities. It's going to get good advice and it will not be too focused on goals. It will feel content. And the sun will be very sensitive and it will listen to others' needs. It will also make sure that the desired goals will be achieved. So it's going to be receptive. It's going to be receptive to others' feelings and even to their own feelings. The moon is also about imagining what could be, imagining a better future. So the moon's going to give the sun that capability for imagining better things. Now, Saturn agitating the sun. And that happens when the sun is aspected by Saturn, which is an enemy to it, and it's also a malefic. So agitation is going to be more painful and frustrating than starvation, because their self-esteem will be challenged and the person could become pushy or bossy. This person will always feel like they have to prove themselves, and Saturn will give them impatience and lack of peace. So they will feel a lot of frustration